So obviously, previously to this role, you coached at Cambridge United. So what is the difference in the style and the technique of coaching the children you were coaching then compared to here?
Good questions. I think when I first started coaching at the Football Fun Factory, I was very conscious of lots of things that I shouldn't have been conscious of. So when you're coaching in academy football, you've got sort of remits to hit with regards to ball speed, playing time. If you've got a topic, you go to the session thinking, right, I've got to make sure that we improve our defending compactness and everything else. So you go to the session with a completely different mindset. Now at the Football Fun Factory, I don't think about, I don't even know, attacking from crosses and things like that, and wide play and all the crazy things that 8-year-olds need to learn within academy football, apparently. I go to the session with, right, I'm going to have as much fun as possible and make sure all the kids leave with a massive smile on their face.
And what was the main objective before in other styles of coaching or other like academies? Where, like you say, what is the overall output for that child? Is it that child to be developed, or is it for the team to do well, or for them to progress? What's the...
Yeah, so in academy football, there's obviously a real focus on getting children through from under sort of 7 when they start, all the way through to under 18, and then eventually into the first team. Obviously, the percentage of children that play football that go on to play in the Premier League, which is the best league in the country, is 0.012%. So I think you're more likely to get struck by a meteor than you are to play in the Premier League if you're playing football.
And what happens to those children? So like you say, they've obviously been under this pressure, they're doing all these things, but if they don't make the cut, what happens? Is that it? They're out?
Yeah, so that was one of the real sort of hard-hitting reasons why I wanted to leave academy football. Is I didn't feel comfortable saying to a 9-year-old, you're not good enough. And like the whole industry is like really cutthroat, and it's sort of a nature of its own beast. Like, people don't go out there and think, oh, I'm going to tell this 10-year-old he's not good enough, but like, because of what the outcomes are, there is so much additional pressure and stresses on that. So coming away from that environment and actually saying yes to every single child rather than saying no to children because they're not good enough. At the Football Fun Factory, we just want every single child to enjoy playing football, and we are really inclusive and open for all.
And when you say about obviously being inclusive, that also includes the parents, doesn't it? So can you tell me a bit more about the role of the parent at the FFF?
Yes, so in academy football, it's coaches and parents, and you keep parents at arm's length. Like, that's what we were told. We were, make sure you walk around the other way of the Astros, so you don't engage with them, because if they get too close to it, they might then have certain opinions and it causes trouble and everything else. At the Football Fun Factory, it is the complete opposite. When we're coaching children and we want the best possible thing for a child, who knows them the best? The parent. So at the Football Fun Factory, we try and get the parents in as close to our experiences as possible, because they know the children best. If we can speak to the parent, learn how little Billy's day's been and what he responds really well to, then like, that will ultimately allow us to provide a better experience for Billy and his time while he's at the FFF.
And I think also, you know, how we have the email communication with the parents, like you say, that we'll share word of the week, we tell them what they'll be working on. Previously, in other coaching experiences, is there any of that? Like, do you tell the parents what they're working on?
So I think that's my biggest sort of tip for grassroots coaches, is to get the parents involved in the journey. I think if you have a philosophy, or if you're trying to do something, involving the parents, educating the parents on what you're trying to do, getting their buy-in, that then helps the message that you're trying to get across to the children. And that's what we try and do at the FFF. We speak to the parents and say that we're working on kindness, we're working on whatever it may be in the sessions, and actually on the car journey over, the parent can speak to the child and use that as an opportunity to then hopefully take the life skills that we're trying to get out in the children in our sessions, out away from football as well.
So obviously, with your coaching style, if you were to describe it in 3 words, what would they be?
I'm a big kid, so probably those 3. I think what I try and do with my sessions is inject as much energy and fun into it. I think if I have fun, the chances are the kids are having fun. Don't take myself too seriously. I'm happy to dance around and be the class clown, as it were. I think because I love football so much and I enjoy putting smiles on faces, I think that sort of encompasses all my sort of coaching attributes in one, really. And I think for me, I'm really passionate about, because so little children go on to make it, I'm so passionate about trying to teach important life lessons and life skills that they can take from my sessions into the real world, as it were.
Yeah. What do you find are kind of the main things that you see children being able to work on within the sessions other than football?
There's so much. There's so many transferable skills from sport and from football in particular that children can take into other areas of their life. Like teamwork is a huge one. Yeah. Listening skills, I think when I'm talking to a group of children or another child's talking and the rest of the group are listening, I always look at opportunities to try and sort of celebrate children that are listening really well, because when it comes to they're in a meeting when they're older, or they've got a chat with their boss, they have to listen, they have to take on board information, and they have to then go and action it. And I think there's so many small transferable skills that you almost overlook at times, but are so important. There's so many opportunities to teach children these important life skills that they can then use in later life.
So obviously you've been to lots of different sessions and worked with lots of different children. Out of all of them, is there any kind of standout moment or something that really sticks in your mind?
Oh, what a question that is. To be honest, every session I come home and there's always like magic moments from that session. Yeah. I don't think I could ever pick one, because like you said, I've coached thousands of children over tens of thousands of hours. But I think at the end of each session, I always come away and reflect on the way home and think about the session, how it's just gone. And actually, I could pull out so many sort of mini magic moments that I either see the children helping one another, whether they're being kind to someone, seeing a child develop. When they first come, they're quite shy, now they're putting their hand up or volunteering to do something. And actually, there's so many of those little magic snippets that come away and stay with me.
On the flip side, so obviously we talk about it a lot with tots, that things don't always go to plan. No. So with us, like you say, at other places it might be like, oh, what's going on, we need to follow the rules, but that's not what we're about. Obviously all children are individual, and if it doesn't go to plan, that's fine. So can you think, again, on the flip side of that, where there's been kind of where it's all gone wrong, or any kind of standout moments where you've just thought, what is happening?
So I think my top tip for any football coach is always plan for your plan not to go according to plan. Because that's what happens. Because you're dealing with kids, people say never work with television on kids and animals and stuff, because you never know what to expect. I think that's probably part of my style of coaching, is I try and be quite adaptable. So I think whatever challenges that I'm faced with, I try and embrace, find the positives in. I've definitely been at top sessions where a child's, for whatever reason, maybe woke up 10 minutes earlier than normal, or didn't get bananas at breakfast, they got strawberries, and that's sent them into a spiral, and they maybe haven't joined in as much as I would have liked. But like you said, at the Football Fun Factory, we try and embrace sort of anything like that. We find the fun in everything that we can, and just try and have the best possible time.
We've obviously already spoken a little bit about transferable skills. Have you got any tips that parents could use, so that are transferring from the football field into kind of life with toddlers or children? Yeah,
I think we had a session in Newport earlier this week, and we were asking sort of some of the kids some questions and stuff, and some of the things they were saying like blew me and James away. We were asking them about like some random stuff, like what the Football Fun Factory is all about, but we also asked them like the meaning of life. And some of these children were like saying stuff, it's about having fun, like finding the happiness in stuff, and it honestly blew me away. And I think there's so many things that parents you can pull out of everything, whether it's a maths lesson, whether it's a football session. There's so many things that you can like pull out and try and expand on and teach these valuable life lessons. I think winning or losing's one. And I think if your child is upset about losing, you can sort of explain adversities, comes through growth, and the challenges that you're going to face later in life. And the same, obviously, if you're winning all the time, it's actually being humble, being like grateful that you've won and all the rest of it, and not showboating and things like that. So I think there's so many skills that parents can really hone in on following sessions and take it into.
And like you say, I had a conversation with my daughter just the other day that she'd said she'd been speaking to her friend about winning, and that her friend said to her, "You just want to play to win." And I was like, but is there anything wrong with that? Like, competition is healthy, and playing to win is not always a bad thing, but like you say, how you handle that, and how, if you do win, how you react.
I think people sometimes think like we don't have winning and losing at the Football Fun Factory. Of course you do, but I think it's the way that we try and create that and the environment that we create for the children. Of course, winning or losing happens in everything, especially in football, and there will be winners and there will be losers, but I think it's the environment that we try and create at the FFF where it's pressure-free. So if they don't win, there's no external pressures from the coaches, from their peers that are saying, oh, we need to win, we have to do this today. We just want to create an environment where people and children absolutely love playing football. Of course they want to win, no one wants to lose, no one sets out to try and lose, but I think it's then when those opportunities do arise, using them to coach those valuable life lessons.
Absolutely, and I think as well, I've seen where the children have actually given each other that support. You know, like if someone else hasn't won, that they're celebrating the ones that have and almost comforting the ones that didn't.
100%, and that's what we try and do with the blue card. It's like I gave a blue card once because a child clapped really loud when someone else won it. And actually, if you can use the blue card to really sort of highlight and celebrate those fantastic life skills and behaviours, then hopefully next time everyone will clap louder, and it just creates that environment where everyone does support one another.
How would you say, again, when we're talking, again, going back to transferable skills, that actually kind of the vision for the children that obviously when they leave us at the FFF at 12 and going into 13, what sort of kind of impact do you think they can have on the communities that they're living in? And
winning, when I talk about winning for me is children still playing football when they're adults, and children sort of learning valuable life skills and lessons from our sessions and my coaching that they can take into other areas. So I think if there's any children that leave our programme and still love football and can still play football as they go into an adult, I think that's a huge win for us at the FFF. I think if they can then sort of take some of the life lessons that we've tried to teach and take it into their everyday life. I mean, Keith has got a coach here today that he used to coach like 5-10 years ago, and it's amazing seeing like the growth. And I think like one thing I love is if I'm in Costa, someone comes up to my table and goes, oh, you Jonny Martin? Oh, you used to coach me when I was 12. Like, thank you so much. And actually that for me is like so powerful. If I can have a long lasting impression on someone's life in a positive way, then that's sort of my job done, really. That
was going to be my next question, actually. Like, you hear, in fact, I don't know if you saw it, Adele did it on the TV not long ago where she was talking about that teacher that actually might have been a small thing for that teacher but made such a massive impact on her life. And obviously for yourself and our other head coaches, you can be that person, like not just for one child but for hundreds of children that come to the sessions. Obviously that's also a lot of responsibility, and we talk about not having pressure, but I suppose there is that element. But actually, like, how does that feel that you can have such a huge impact on all of these children?
Some of my coaches growing up, I'll see in the street, I'll cross the street to go and say hello and shake their hand, because they have left such an impression on my life when I was growing up. They've taught me so many things, and like you said, sometimes it's such small things that you don't even realise. Or I have memories of one coach, I don't remember anything that he taught me, I just remember always laughing. His name was Scouse, he's an absolute legend, and like I said, I don't remember any of his sessions or anything like that, but I remember the way that he made me feel. And I think that's my goal as a coach. If I can give the same experiences that I had as a youngster that made me fall in love with football, that made me sort of value my own life and everything else and feel empowered, and if I can pass that on to the children I coach, then happy days.